Hello peasants to YouTube, welcome to another That's Just Joe video. My name's Joe and that's about it. Actually, that's not about it. Bob Iger is returning as CEO of Walt Disney Company, taking over from Bob Chapek, who obviously was his successor back in the beginning of 2020. Chapek has been known to run the company into the ground in some ways, and it's obviously not his fault that the pandemic happened and Disney was on its knees basically. But with the success of Disney Plus and everything, that's been going well, apart from the $4 billion loss that we heard about recently. But it looks like the board has finally decided to oust Chapek and get back in Bob Iger to get the company back on track to where it needs to be in the future. And it's only for 2 years, but I do trust in Bob Iger to get the company back to where it needs to be. And yeah, so long Chapek. A lot of controversy around Disney over the past few years with Chapek at the helm. Loads of layoffs, which were so unnecessary. Obviously, we heard about Turning Red, the Disney animation, Pixar animation, that went straight to Disney Plus, and just loads of unnecessary stuff. It was obviously to cut back costs and everything, but I don't really want to go into all that. You can go and read that on different article websites and news and all that to find out more of why Bob Iger is coming back in as CEO of Walt Disney Company. Now, what I'm here to talk about is this sort of speculation, sort of maybe sources have said this, maybe it's a rumor, but the Gazette Sci-Fi and Fantasy website has done an article about the progression of Star Wars movies at Disney. Obviously, Disney owns the rights to Star Wars, and they've been making the TV shows, which have been great, apart from Boba Fett, but they have been great overall, and has seen huge success among general audiences, definitely. But this website here, as you can see by the title, ousted CEO Bob Chapek may be the reason we haven't had a movie since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. Now, this would actually make a lot of sense, because since 2019, us Star Wars fans, us diehard Star Wars fans, have been waiting for a new Star Wars movie. We've been waiting for quite a while now. Sorry, I nearly burped. And we understand that the pandemic happened and everything. Filming has got cancelled. But there had been a lot of projects announced post-2019 that were supposedly in pre-production, like the Rogue Squadron movie with Patty Jenkins directing. They did that whole VT during D23 Online in 2020, and it's not on the schedule anymore. It's gone. But it seems like Lucasfilm is in a lot of trouble at the moment with developing new ideas and new movies and even new TV shows, to be honest. But concentrating on the movies, yeah, we haven't had one since Rise of Skywalker, and that's been a bit, yeah, you know, we should really be having a movie every year, and that was the original intention ever since The Force Awakens started. Obviously, the move to Disney Plus has actually proved very successful general audiences, not for their pockets though at Disney. They lost $4 billion due to the streaming service. But anyway, won't go into that. Let's read this article together. I've only just opened this up, but it did catch my eye. Despite finding great success on Disney Plus, as we said, the Star Wars franchise is definitely in trouble on the big screen. Countless movies have been announced, then failed to materialise, including Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron. And we now have a long list of projects in development from various filmmakers like Taika Waititi. Obviously, Thor: Love and Thunder's box office reception was great, but in terms of the content, was not so great. A lot of audiences didn't like the movie. There was a good bunch that did. I didn't like it in particular, but it sounds like he's not returning to the Marvel Cinematic Universe anytime soon. But he is still working on this Star Wars film that has been in the works for quite a while now. Yesterday, news broke that Disney CEO Bob Chapek has been ousted from the company, with Bob Iger stepping in for the next 2 years to get things back on the right track. That's probably how I should have said it earlier. The director shared a rumour suggesting Chapek could be to blame for why the Star Wars franchise has been shelved since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. It said the former CEO was responsible for the directive to not release any Star Wars movies, likely because he wanted to focus on building Disney Plus's streaming catalogue. Now that makes a lot of sense, because I think when he came in, The Mandalorian had just premiered, I believe, and it was a success. It was a huge success. They were very late with the merchandise and everything, but in terms of general audiences responding really well to the content, he really wanted to concentrate on that, and I completely get that. But you do need a bit of both. Like the Marvel films and the TV shows, you're going to get different audiences for that. Not everyone's going to watch both, but it's good to reach out to those different circles of audiences. The article goes on to say profits have always been at the forefront of Chapek's mind, and that's very true. He's very much a businessman. He wasn't really creative in any way, and unfortunately during his tenure he tried to take over a lot of the creativity of these different franchises and everything. Though he hasn't done the best job with that either, Iger is creative at heart, so we're bound to see some big changes now. Don't be surprised if that results in Marvel Studios moving out of its current quantity over quality era, and that's quite interesting in terms of Marvel. And I completely agree with that, to be honest. I think Iger is going to get that back on track as well. Elsewhere in the report, it pointed out that Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy has a deal in place until at least 2025, and as a longtime friend of Iger's, is likely to remain in charge of Star Wars for the foreseeable future. It's certainly going to be an interesting few years for the Star Wars franchise, with Iger back in charge and as the main responsible for acquiring Lucasfilm and getting that new trilogy mapped out. They didn't really map it out though, do they? We're sure he'll push Kennedy to get her house in order beyond just what we see on Disney+. So, Star Wars and Marvel sound like they're going to be in good hands. I think I completely 100% agree with this article that Iger is going to really push Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm and all the creatives there to really just get going with a new movie franchise of the Star Wars story. I am hopeful. I definitely am hopeful. Is it going to go the right way? I don't know. I really thought when I saw The Force Awakens they had mapped out a trilogy, but it turns out they hadn't at all. They just went straight in for the kill, and the script was changing constantly, and then bring in Rian Johnson and he kind of did his own thing. And I love The Last Jedi, I really do, but it really doesn't fit into the continuity of The Force Awakens. It really branches out to a different direction, which I wasn't expecting, and that was the whole point of the film. But it just wasn't a film. I was like, it felt more like a post-credit scene to The Force Awakens, if anything, to me. A very long post-credit scene. But overall, I am interested, and Bob Iger is very passionate about new creatives coming in, so I hope Taika is still making his Star Wars film. I really hope they get Patty Jenkins back in to make Rogue Squadron. I think that would be really, really, really good. I think a lot of people are excited about that film, and with the recent success of Top Gun, why the fuck wouldn't they? There's definitely going to be another Top Gun movie coming out in the next few years, so why not do a Rogue Squadron movie to kind of go against that, at the box office and everything. So yeah, very interesting indeed. What do you think anyway? Are you happy Iger's back? Are you looking at a promising future for Star Wars and Marvel and all these other franchises? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. May the Force be with you. I can actually say it this time because it's to do with Star Wars.